Hello guys and welcome back to the Fortune Hotel. And I gotta say guys, we're 2 episodes in and this show is really rocking and rolling, and I am very excited to get into this episode's drama because there was a lot of it. So if you guys are enjoying the show so far, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. We are on our way to 900 and on our way to 1,000. We can get there. I believe in you guys. This is basically a very similar show to the Traitors, but this time it's played in duos and they're searching for cash rather than searching for traitors. So if you enjoy the lying, the deception and the scheming, then make sure to stick around and slap that like button and obviously the subscribe button. Let's get into the video, shall we? So, we are going to start with a little bit of drama. The last episode decided to start, or to end, with the shocking, who are Will and Joanne, I think is her name? Who are they going to give the early checkout card to? Now, I need to make an admission, and this was pointed out to me in the comment section, but I also realised it before that, whilst watching this episode. Yeah, Chloe and what's his face? The other one. Chloe and Louis. Why did I forget Louis? Chloe and Louis did not actually have the money at any stage, apart from when they took it off of Joe and Will. Yeah, that was my bad. I thought there was 2 lots of money. Apparently there's only one, which I actually think makes so much more sense because I was really confused why Susan and Jen weren't getting to choose the person for the early checkout, but it does make sense that one person or one team does have it. They decided to give the early checkout card to Abby and Tracy. I think this is because they believe that there's more going on with Abby and Tracy than meets the eye. I think they believe that they're a lot smarter than they actually are. And I think they're correct, honestly. I think that there's definitely an element of game playing with those two. I mean, everyone's really playing a game, but I feel like those two especially are really playing up the fact that they're like, ooh, we're ditzy, we're fun, we're happy, woo. And I feel like that really became apparent in this episode. Now, there are a couple of pairs that do believe that Dan and Claire actually do have the money. And I think this is going to prove to be a detriment throughout the episode. Cherish and Jay and also Abby and Tracy believe that Dan and Claire have the money, which really does put Joanne and Will in the clear, but also Joanne and Will were questioning Susan and Jen, which made them question back. And it did just become a little bit of like do Joanne and Will actually have the money? That would be very interesting if that did happen. But either way, there's not really much that can happen here. So yeah, I think that's very interesting indeed. So it seems like there are going to be 2 challenges per episode. The first challenge enables one person to swap their case or peek in another person's case. And the second one dictates the order in which the final swap happens at the end of the episode. Before we get into the second challenge, let's talk about the first one, because the first one was very interesting indeed. Each of the contestants, the pairs, were given 4 cocktails which contained a multitude of flavours. They basically had to drink them, decide what on earth was in them, and the person who got the most flavours correct ended up winning. This was a challenge that I think I would have done quite well at. I think there were very distinct flavours that people were missing, and I was like, but also until you're in that situation, you really don't know how you're gonna fare. So like sitting at home being like, oh, I would have done so well at that challenge, just makes you sound like a bit of a cock. So maybe I should stop doing that. I really should, because I think I'm gonna be so good at these challenges, and then like I will do a very watered down version of the challenge, and I will struggle so badly. Yeah, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing, but it is what it is. There's not really much you can do about it. So what happened between the competitors? Well, it turns out that Tracy and Abby, who I may remind you currently possess the early checkout card, they actually won the challenge, which gave them the opportunity to peek or to swap. Now, personally, I think they should have kept their case. And I think they should have gambled on the fact that they wouldn't be last place at the Lady Luck bar. There are currently 10 people still in the competition, I think. Oh no, there's 9. There's 9 pairs still left in. So all they had to do was come 8th or above, and that would guarantee them a chance to swap with whoever is 9th place, because then they cannot swap back with you. They didn't decide to do that. What they decided to do was swap with Dan and Claire. Now, the reason why I think this was a very poor move for them is because Dan and Claire are very, very good at challenges. Very good indeed. The issue is that they gave it to Dan and Claire, and they saw that they now had the early checkout card, and they became even more motivated to win the challenge. I think it was a bad choice personally, and we'll see whether it turns out to be a bad choice or not later. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it didn't really work out in their favor, unfortunately. So, the second challenge of the episode was a digging challenge. They were essentially putting boats out in the ocean. They had to either swim to shore and grab one of the spades that was there, or fish around in the ocean with a magnet for a spade. They then had to dig up different locations on a map, find out what the number on the placard was, and then basically go from there, and that would give them their number position. But they could keep on picking them up, throwing them back, picking them up, throwing them back. So it wasn't like the first one you picked out was the number you got. It was you stuck on a number that you were happy with. Michael and Adam, they are currently aligning themselves with Joanne and Will. Seems like they've got a little like alliance there, which is nice. They basically were like, if we give you a case tonight, don't be scared, because you can take it right back, or vice versa. Like, it's not the end of the world. Just know that if we need to swap, we're going to be swapping with you, and you're more than welcome to swap back with us. That kind of thing. As a sort of like, you've got nothing to worry about with us. I thought that's interesting. Alliances are not something that I would have expected in this game, but apparently it is working out. They were quite quick off the mark, actually. They managed to get to shore, grab a spade, dig in. I think they ended up in the 2nd position, which was actually really, really good. I was really impressed with them. But also, I feel like they're doing a really good job of staying under the radar, but also performing well in challenges. I don't think anybody believes they've got the money currently, which is probably why they're not being targeted. But it is a little bit concerning, especially because, like, Joanne and Will, because they've got the money, I want them to keep the money. I don't know. I feel like this could go downhill very, very fast. Some people were better at this than others. I gotta be honest. Gary fell into the sea, which was absolutely hilarious. He ended up having to swim back. That was brilliant. And yeah, some people really, really struggled. Some people did better than others. The one that really surprised me was Abby and Tracy. Abby and Tracy got to a point where there was only 6th, 3rd, and 1st, I think it was. Or, no, 6th, 9th, and 1st. And they decided to stick on 6. But Dan and Claire had already gotten 4. So they were concerned that Dan and Claire would just give it right back to them. I was a little bit concerned that would happen. But I think the issue is, I think they should have kept the early checkout card, because then nobody would have known they had it, apart from Joanne and Will, who obviously gave it to them. I just think this was a really misguided move to do this. But I don't know. We'll have to see how it works out in the end. So, it's time to head into the Lady Luck bar, and this was the first time in this show that I was like, things actually could get quite toxic from here on out. We've seen it on other TV shows where it starts off all pally best friends, but now it's getting a little bit crazy, I won't lie. Like, I'm actually really enjoying it. It's getting really good, and I feel like every episode I'm like holding my breath, because I'm like, I don't know who's going home. It's not like the Traitors, where they spent the whole episode being like, oh, we think it's this person, and then they get to the round table, it's like, oh, we're voting you out, and you're like, oh no. This is very much sort of like, until the person has the early checkout card, you don't know who's going home. You just don't. So, Claire and Dan actually started the whole Lady Luck bar situation by announcing to the room that basically they have the early checkout card. So please, please, please don't swap with us. They'd already kind of mentioned it earlier on to Cherish and Jay, because I think they picked up vibes that Cherish and Jay wanted to go for them anyway. And yeah, kind of dissuaded Cherish and Jay from going for them when they were like, yeah, we have the LA checkout card. It was tough, because then Abby and Tracy kind of spoke up and they were like, yeah, we want to stay in the competition, please. I thought they were going to back up the story and be like, yeah, we gave it to them. We thought they had the money. They did not. So clearly the money is still out there. Yeah, interesting. I found that whole interaction really awkward and really uncomfortable to watch, but also fantastic television. Honestly, big applause to whoever decided to make this show, because it actually is very, very fun. So let's get into some swaps, guys. Cherish and Jay decided to swap with Tommy and Scott. This surprised me. They had to swap with someone. I genuinely did think they were going to go for Dan and Claire. Thank God they didn't. Susan and Jen then went with keeping their case. Aisha and Sam also decided to keep their case, as did Abby and Tracy, and Gary and Leslie also decided to keep their case. Now, this is where things got a little bit awkward, a little bit uncomfortable, a little bit dodgy. This is what I meant earlier when I said Abby and Tracy mucked up badly by giving the case to Dan and Claire, because Dan and Claire beat them in the competition, as they did in the previous one. And yeah, they decided to give the case with the early checkout card back to Abby and Tracy. And I think Abby and Tracy knew that they were going home from that moment onwards, because no one would dare switch with them. Yeah, it was awkward, to say the least. I was just disappointed, because I had given them a good opportunity to get out of this. Keep the case. You came sixth. You could have given it to Cherish and Jay, Susan and Jen, Aisha and Sam, and none of those three could have given it back to you, and you'd have gotten away with it, and you'd have been here for another week. But you decided to get greedy and chase the money, and you ended up with nothing, and you're going home. Bit tough, innit? A little bit tough. At least you enjoyed the nice resort for like 2 days. But yeah, a little bit awkward. Tommy and Scott were next. They decided to change back with Cherish and Jay. Michael and Adam decided to keep their case, and Joanne and Will also decided to keep their case. So at the end of episode 2, every single person has kept their case from the previous episode, apart from obviously Abby and Tracy, but they're now out of the game because they have the early checkout card. Guys, just come a bit closer. Are you a bit closer? Because like, I don't want to get too close, because then you can see like how rough my face looks, but it's fine. This is where things got really toxic, because obviously Abby and Tracy, knowing that they're out of the game, Abby just decided to go on a bit of a tirade. She was like, guys, I think Joanne and Will have got the money. I think they're lying to everyone's faces. I think they're this. I think they're that. I was sitting there like, sipping my cocktail. I was like, what's going on? What is happening here? How is this de-escalated so crazily? Oh, that is funny. That's so funny, because Joanne almost bit back, basically told her to pipe down, and then they decided to leave. And then once they'd left, everyone was trashing them. Like, everyone was like, yeah, that was out of order. I hope you're okay, Joanne. How mean of them. Like, you don't do that. That's just sore losership. But obviously, Abby and Tracy were like, yeah, it's fine. I mean, at one point, Tracy went, you remind me of a younger Katie Hopkins. And I was like, that's probably not a compliment. I'm really sorry. I know you want it to be a compliment, but so no, not Katie Hopkins. Come on. Of all the people you could have likened her to, and you said Katie Hopkins, notorious bigot. Yeah, funny. But either way, still a very, very good end to the episode. Because what did we have next? Well, we had Joanne and Will deciding who they are going to give the early checkout card to for the start of next episode. Is it going to be Gary and Leslie, or is it going to be Susan and Jen? Now, in my head, Susan and Jen are the better shout. Gary and Leslie, they've got no qualms with anyone. Susan and Jen could be a bit dodgy. If they end up winning, they could end up swapping with Joanne and Will. They'd probably suspect that it was Joanne and Will. I think in my head they're the best ones to get out of the competition, but they almost need to backdoor them in the nicest way possible. Like, you know how Big Brother Canada, you have like you give the early checkout card to a decoy, and then you make sure the decoys pass it on to the actual people. That kind of thing. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how this works out. But that is all we've got time for today, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is turning out to be a fantastic show. And I know I'm just a little man in a little box in the corner of your screen, but I'm not actually that little. I'm 6 foot. But it is still a really, really cool show, and I'm glad you're enjoying it. I mean, let me know if you are. I don't know. I am. Are you? I don't know. I feel like I've had a lot of energy today. What is going on? I feel like I'm going to be bouncing off the walls after this. So, thank you guys very, very much for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed. And make sure to tune in for the next episode. It will be in the next couple of days. I'm very aware that it is finishing like tonight or tomorrow. I can't remember. But either way, I will be continuing this all the way to the end. No spoilers, please. If I see any spoilers in the comment section, I will not be happy. Not even in the slightest. I might even remove you from my comment section. What is going on with me today? Anyway, I'm just going to end the episode. I'm going to stop waffling. Thank you guys. See you later. Keep on ranting.